fall, everyone. I missed you. Welcome back to the Up and About podcast. It's been over a month since I've talked to you guys, and I hope you guys are doing well. I miss you tons. This month was really jam-packed with back-to-back family and friends events. I am an Aries, and it's really funny because the majority of my friends are earth signs, and a lot of them are Virgos and Leos. Like my boyfriend Josh is a Leo, and a lot of my friends are Virgos, like the majority of them. My mom is a Virgo, and it's been just back-to-back celebrations this whole month. So I've been prioritizing a lot of family, friends, and relationships this month, and I hope that you have had a fulfilling start to the fall season. Not gonna lie, at the end of August, my energy was a little bit lower than usual. It was probably part of my hormonal cycle, but I felt like for those 2 weeks at the end of August, it was really hard to get out of bed. It was hard to get up and get motivated. It was harder to have that higher energy, go mentality that I typically do have. And so when I do get in those cycles or in those ruts, I try so hard not to force it and not for my self-talk to be negative or for there to be self-judgment when it comes to really just resting and relaxing and just honoring my body and my needs and what my body wants to do and does not want to do. I think I've definitely gotten to the point of my life where I've accepted that it's okay to just honor where you are in the era and season of your life, and that our bodies are really designed to make us feel this way for a reason, and there's a purpose. And so being able to accept it and not fight it is really the solution and the process that you need to get back to your higher energy levels. And what's kind of funny is as the seasons change and as the leaves start falling and turning color, I really feel like I'm entering a new season in my life. And honestly, as the air got crisper and more cold, and I was trying to get out of this funk of just being in bed and not being motivated to do anything, my friends' and family's birthdays were coming around. And one thing about me is I absolutely adore birthdays. I love celebrating. I love being in the energy of celebration, and I love pouring into people. I love experiences. I love connection, vulnerability, and being able to express my love as much as possible. That's actually been one of my goals this quarter, is to just really express how much I care and love on people. When my friends and family's birthdays came around this year, I really made it a point to go all out, even though I wasn't feeling my best. But to be honest, pouring into my friends and family took me out of that rut, and being in the spirit of gratitude, gratefulness, excitement, celebration, love, and overall being in a giving spirit actually took me out of that low energy state and vibe and really helped me get up. It made me feel more of myself again. It made me feel aligned with my purpose. It just made me feel so fulfilled and happy. And so I really wanted to talk about that today. So as a backstory, I am a first-generation Filipino immigrant here in Canada. My parents left the Philippines to have a better life for me and my brother, their children, and they pretty much sacrificed their entire world and sacrificed their entire lives that have been already established in the Philippines to start again. With no support system. So everybody in the Philippines, in my family right now, is on my dad's side, and everybody on my mom's side moved to California. So we are the only ones in my family in Canada. So they started with no support system. Culture shock, of course. They did speak English because they both went to university, and English is the second language in the Philippines. My dad was a full-time entrepreneur in the Philippines, and he gave all of that up. He ended up working 3 jobs at the same time. My mom was a VP at a communications company. She had her master's degree in economics, bachelor's in economics. Overall, my parents were very established in the Philippines, and I remember my dad would carry me on his shoulders on the bus stop. It would be freezing cold. My parents didn't have a car. They just made it work, you know, like working just a lot of minimum wage entry-level jobs after having a very comfortable and established life in the Philippines. Those were the early days. And throughout the years, my parents have moved up, and thankfully they are much in a better place where they aren't working minimum wage, they aren't struggling, they aren't working 3 jobs at once. But I remember growing up here in Canada, that would be the norm. My parents did literally everything to save $1. You know, they would be cutting out coupons, they would be doing the newspaper route. And so that mindset of scarcity and sacrifice was something they are conditioned to do because they are in survival mode, essentially. Growing up watching this and having my mom be just incredibly transparent and open with me about money and our situation, I vowed from a very, very young age to be able to repay them back and be one of the first people in my family to make sure that they do live in abundance and that they do have and retire in a very comfortable situation and that they never have to experience struggling over money ever again. Because growing up seeing that, it's really heartbreaking, and it does really give you this different drive and clarity about the lifestyle that you want, the amount of sacrifices your parents have made, and the amount of work you want to do to be able to give them back and more. And that has always been my mentality. So that's kind of a backstory. But in the midst of going from survival mode to abundance mode, that itself is a journey. And I think at the beginning of my journey, which kind of started at the end of high school, maybe around 17, 18, I told myself that my art and media and communications, like that was going to be my industry. That's going to be my medium. And of course, technology eventually, but communications and media is a gift that I've always had and a gift that I always wanted to explore and do seriously. I remember the first business that I started in university, and the early days were rough. It was a lot of, oh my God, this is actually really hard. This is difficult. This is impossible. A lot of these words that really, at the time I believed were true, but in hindsight, I always told myself that, okay, well, my journey could never be as tough or as difficult as my parents. Like, I can't even imagine moving across the world, having an established life, and just starting from the ground up again. Like, that kind of love and sacrifice, I can't imagine myself doing. So what is hard, really? You know what I mean? One of my dreams when I was younger was to be able to be successful enough and have enough cash flow to buy myself a Tesla Model 3, which was my dream car at the time and still is, honestly. That was a dream of mine probably since I was 20 or like 21. I vowed to myself, once I really quote unquote made it, once I was more comfortable with my business, that was going to be my reward for me. And it's more of a symbol to show myself that I can do it and I've done it. And if I can accomplish this one milestone in my business, I can accomplish so much more. But getting over that hurdle and that bump was definitely a new experience. It was something I've never done before. So growing up in survival mode and being conditioned to be in survival mode and not being surrounded by people that are in a state of abundance and wealth, and that mindset of everybody can come up together, everybody can win, this is a community that helps one another grow. I didn't have that, but I always made a promise to myself that once I hit this milestone, it is going to be my priority to foster this community and this mindset of like-minded people, like-minded women. So fast forward, I turned 23 and I hit my first 10K month, and that first 10K month became consistent across all boards. It was my first year that I became a six-figure business owner. My cash flow was consistent, and I knew that I wanted to pull the trigger on the Tesla because this is something that I wanted to invest in and buy and show myself that and really achieve this milestone that I set for myself a long time ago. I remember being so excited about this and pulling the trigger on the Tesla, which, by the way, it's so easy to buy a Tesla because you just buy it online. It's like an e-commerce buying clothes experience online. It's just so easy, so fast, so seamless. And I remember my parents being like, no, like, don't do it. It's too expensive. It's not worth the money. You can start off with a Nissan Leaf if I wanted an EV. And it was just that scarcity mentality, that like whole idea that, okay, you should save money. That's a priority. Things are too expensive. It's just not worth the cost, et cetera, et cetera. I remember a lot of your comments held me back for a little bit, but I realized you know what? This is just the beginning of my journey. I think if I'm able to do this at 23, imagine what is possible in 10 years, you know? For me, the word expensive stopped being in my vocabulary. And honestly, a lot of words stopped being in my vocabulary. And every time I catch myself saying, oh, something is hard, something is impossible, I don't think I can do this, I'm not good enough, or I don't know enough, I really stop myself in my tracks. And I'm like, that's not true. That's a limiting belief. And if somebody else in the world has done that, has achieved it, why not me? The importance of self-talk and your mind and the way that your mind works is actually insane, because the moment you really believe something or say something out loud, it becomes a mantra, it becomes an affirmation. And so your brain will find instances and will find evidence of exactly what you believe. So if you think something is impossible, you think something is expensive, you think something is hard, that will be your reality. And at the end of the day, you choose what your reality is. And so I made an active and conscious choice to remove those words from my vocabulary. And I really challenge you to do the same. I have been challenging a lot of my friends and family to do the same as well. And honestly, getting the Tesla was one of the best decisions I could have ever made. I'm really glad that I didn't go with the Nissan Leaf and I went with my gut and I went with my instinct, because to this day the car has just paid itself over 3x more. It's definitely valued more. It's a business write-off for taxes. You have, living in Vancouver and BC, you have all these amazing benefits owning a Tesla and an EV. And currently the value of the car is actually worth more than I bought it, which is almost unheard of since cars are typically a depreciating asset. But that goes to say, the day that I picked up my Tesla, the vibration in the room was high, because it showed my little brother that if he wanted to, he could do it too. It showed my parents that their sacrifices were worth it and that the reward was so worth the risk. And every single time I drive in that car or pick somebody up or go on a road trip, it makes my heart so happy, because the amount of memories and experiences I've had in that car are just surreal. Back to what I was saying, my mom's birthday was on September 9th, and my boyfriend Josh and I always make it a priority to treat our elders and spoil our elders as much as we can. When Josh's mom came here, we went all out on her birthday. It was amazing. It was just an inspiring week. And when my mom's birthday came around, oh my God, I just wanted to go crazy. My mom is one of my best friends in the whole world, and definitely one of the most inspiring and just lively and wonderful just people I know. Just so vibrant, so loving, so warm, so nurturing. And being 26 now, I feel like I'm definitely in the position to take care of other people, to take care of my parents, rather than my parents taking care of me, and starting to give them the experience of what it is like to live in abundance and to live a life that is luxurious, that is carefree, that is in the state of realizing that anything and everything is possible. I got my mom this beautiful bouquet of flowers. I got her this engraved gold bracelet with my brother, and I planned this birthday dinner at this restaurant called Riley's Fish and Steak, which is in Cole Harbour in Vancouver, if you guys live in Vancouver. Now, my parents are definitely not accustomed to luxury restaurants. That's something for them, again, because they have this conditioning and the mentality of saving as much money as they can. They've never splurged on high-end restaurants. That's just never been a priority to them, which I understand. And so being able to give them that experience is so meaningful to me. One, because they totally deserve it, and two, because it's just a memory and experience that we'll cherish forever. I think I'm definitely more conscious of my parents getting older now, and the older that they get, the more time I intentionally want to spend with them, and the more experiences I want to give them that they've never had the luxury to have before. And so when we were at dinner, my mom is like going through the menu, and we made it very clear to my family that my boyfriend Josh is paying for everybody's dinner, so my parents don't have that fear of spending money, because they still do. But my mom, she was looking at the menu and she's like, oh my God, this is like too expensive. Like, I think I would order more, but like, oh my God, this is so expensive, but I just think it's too much. And Oh my gosh. I grabbed my mom who was sitting beside me. I was like, Mom, expensive doesn't exist. Like, the whole reason that we're here is so you can order anything you want, so you can fully experience what it's like to be spoiled and celebrated and treated with no limits. And this is the product of your sacrifice. It's the product of your hard work. And so it's the fruits of you and Pop's sacrifice for me. And it is the fruit of Josh's and I's labor and mindset and mentality of showing the people that we love that this is possible, that anything is possible, and that this is what it means to live in abundance, because our parents have already sacrificed and done so much for us. So it's our turn to show you that the sacrifices were worth it and more. It was such an emotional day, and my mom was so happy, and it made me so happy. It was definitely one of the most memorable days of 2023. Being able to have these unforgettable experiences and moments with our loved ones, our friends and family. It's why we do what we do, Josh and I. It's why we build businesses, and it's why we share the information we do to our loved ones. It's why he chose the more unconventional route of entrepreneurship and investing, and why I believe so much in valuing time over money and making big risks, even if that means losing, because it is a lesson learned. And at the end of the day, all of this information can be passed down. And more importantly, it shows my little brother and his girlfriend, and it shows Josh's nieces and nephews that somebody in my family and in Josh's family have broken these generational curses and have done, it is possible. Anything is possible. And so much can change in a couple of years. I mean, I always think about where I spend my time, because all of us just have such limited amounts of it. And where I want to spend my time is to be able to share these moments, share this information, and have these incredible experiences with my loved ones, especially on their birthdays. Being in the spirit of celebration is the energy and spirit that I want to be all the time, because it's kind of a miracle that we all woke up this morning. Don't you think? Like, what is there not to be grateful for? Every time I look at something or an experience that I believe is out of my reach, I tell myself, who do I need to be in order to get to that next stage of my life? If that's something that I envision in my future, what do I need to learn? What steps do I need to take to get that outcome? And being able to ask myself these questions is so important, because it gives you this playful curiosity, and it allows you to envision and imagine what if, instead of, oh, that's impossible, that's hard. I remember when I thought making $10,000 a month was hard. I remember when I thought driving a Tesla was out of my reach and impossible, because I've taken transit my whole life, and how can I get there? I remember the thought of starting a business and running a business was hard. And so I look back and I don't believe in those things anymore. I don't believe anything is hard. I think if somebody has done it, literally, why not you? The amount of underqualified people just living their lives and doing more insanely wild and successful things. The amount of people that just walk around being like, yeah, like I can do that. Like, yeah, like why not you? You know? Why not take the risk? Why not? Yeah, I wanted to share that with you. I want you to challenge yourself this week and think about how you talk to yourself, whether it is just in your mind or out loud, and ask yourself, what vocabulary do I accept is true? And what vocabulary do I actually believe? And what words do I choose not to use? What words limit myself from getting to where I want to be? Another word that I don't like to use is budget. I don't like the constraint and the energy of the word budget. It's just so limiting. A word that I like to use instead of budget is forecast, because you're able to plan ahead, you're able to predict, you're able to be proactive about the amount of money you are able to either make or use in the future. But I do not like the word budget. Like, it's just putting you in a box, you know? But words are very important, and what you say is very important. It's more impactful than you think it is. It trains your brain to look for evidence of that exact thing you believe. You only have one life, and you get to create this reality for yourself. You choose the reality you live, and for me, I've always wanted to show other women, especially women that are younger than me or about my age, that anything is possible. I've always believed that. And I am so in the spirit of leading by example and prioritizing community and love. And all of that really starts with your mind. It starts with your mind, with your mindset. It is so contagious to other people. It's so contagious to the people that you care about. And thank you for listening. I hope this has made an impact on you. Please don't be afraid to message me. I love hearing everybody's opinions, and I love reposting and seeing you guys listen to the podcast. It means so much to me. I love you guys. Have an amazing week, an amazing fall season. I will definitely be back soon, and see you next time.